see the guys in shells today. You took a little off of them?
Yeah, we had a really good day yesterday, and their top data was up even more than last Tuesday, so we rewarded them. Some of that little bribery I was talking about yesterday.
Does that carry over the rest of the week? Anything a little lighter than normal?
No, that would be it. And if they don't play well Saturday, they'll be back in them next week.
You mentioned with Louisiana Tech that they've had some very strong games and some games where they weren't as strong. What is the difference in terms of what they put out on the field week to week? Where does that alter?
They've got really good players. I mean, they've got 10 starters back on defense. They've got a very good quarterback, 4 really good wide receivers, a really good tailback. Coach Holtz has been winning games for a long time there. They're a really good football team. They're really good at home.
We're getting ready to talk to Lorenzo Dantzler here. He's managed to recover 3 fumbles for you guys, which is it's rare for a player to have that kind of a nose for the ball. Is there just something that he does that allows him to have that success so far?
Just he made his mind up to come back, and be a leader. He got voted into the single digits on the leadership council. I mean, he's just that. He goes hard every day, and somehow the ball finds you when you have a good attitude and you do things right. Doesn't mean life's gonna always be perfect, but luck always favors the guy that's prepared and works his tail off. And I understand sometimes bad things happen to good people too. That's not to say that doesn't happen, but it does favor the kid that always goes hard. And that's what Lorenzo does. He goes hard all the time. I think, being a father and Elijah being in his life, and just the culture around here has really affected him, and he's really bought into it. And when you get to take care of another human, you quit being so selfish and you become selfless, which I'm a living example of that. Being the father of 3 children, you just quit living for yourself and you start living for other people, and that's what Lorenzo does.
He also leads the team in hurries. Is there something from a pass rush perspective that he's been able to do that's allowed him to have that success?
He's got great ball get off. He's quick, and he's very coachable. Him and Coach Wright have a great relationship, and he takes his coaching to the field.
Jeff, I wanted to ask you about Corey Mayfield. He had a pretty good game last week, and just overall he's been pretty solid as a cornerback. What can you say about him? He's
been steady our entire time here. He continues to get better, work his technique, and him and Coach Graham have a great relationship as well. And he's a competitor, and he's a tough kid. He's always in his playbook. He's always practicing, and I was glad to see him. He made some plays last week. He really was big for us, and I was glad to see that for Corey.
A stiff challenge for the entire secondary this week. This is kind of another, not like Western Kentucky, but almost like them, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
I think personnel-wise, they're better. Even Coach Holtz is on record is saying this is the deepest, most talented team he's ever had there. Now think about that. I mean, that's a pretty strong statement. And I didn't actually hear Coach Holtz say that myself. I'm quoting a commentator from a game that I was watching. So if that commentator misspoke, I apologize. But I do believe that. I mean, they've got 10 starters back on defense. They're really good at wide receiver. Their running back is explosive. The quarterback, who's a West Virginia OU transfer, is really good. And with those transfers and the quarterback getting there late, I imagine it's taking them some time to gel. And you just hope we're not the Saturday night that it all comes together.
You guys the program has never won in Ruston. What do y'all need to do this weekend to change that? And what would it mean to this team to be the first to get a win at Louisiana Tech?
Well, that's why I got my Bryce Wisdom shirt on today. It's passion this week. I'm hoping Bryce is going to be with me and find me a way to get me out of there. We understand it's going to be an unbelievable challenge. It's funny, when the schedule came out, I can't tell you how many of our fans would say to me, I think you're going to take them all, Coach, but that one's the one that scares me. I mean, it's amazing how many times I've heard that. And I understand why, because of the tradition, homecoming, night game, the talent they have, the respect for their program, and it will take a Herculean effort for us to get out of there. But what I love about my team is anytime you tell them something they can't do, man, those suckers find a way to rise up somehow.
We've talked this week about turnovers. Is there any kind of drill or any sort of emphasis in practice that leads to that, or that you guys do that sort of brings out that takeaway kind of mentality?
But every team talks about it, so I don't. It's the first thing we ever go over in every team meeting on Sunday. It's the very first stat we look at, and we don't. Defensively, we don't call them turnovers. We call them takeaways. So it's just a play on words, but it's a mindset. And offensively, it just comes from your fundamentals. I I mean, you have to chin the ball at all times. When in trouble, double. No BIJs, ball in jeopardies. We chart all that stuff, but every coach is doing that. So it's the players. I mean, our players get it done for us, and that's who it is. And when they play good, it's always going to be the players, and when they play bad, it's always going to be me. And I'm going to go that way until they take me out of this job. And they usually do. They usually take the whistle off of you at some point in our profession. But right now, it's all good.
Jeff, I think the stats show Sticks is the number one punt returner in the conference. Just how would you say he's done so far, just, handling those punt returns?
It's the toughest skill in all the sport, I believe. So I have a lot of respect for any kid that'll go back there and do that. He takes a lot of pride in it. Our unit does too, and we've improved there tremendously from last year.
It was interesting yesterday talking to BJ. He said that he's made an effort to sort of bulk up and be a more physical runner this year compared to focusing on speed in the past. Do you see a difference in his running style from last year to this year?
I would say confidence, just the confidence of the system. I mean, gosh, I go back and watch that game from last year, and we were just so bad. I mean, we were a bad football team. Now our kids played hard, but you can tell we didn't have spring. You can tell we didn't have summer. You can tell we were just a first-year coach, with his staff, and it was painful. So we're just all more confident. We're just every one of us, not just BJ. We're all just more confident.
What's your interview schedule look like these days? Outside the normal stuff you do every day, like national and regional stuff, is it getting pretty full?
It is, and I'm not going to say no to anybody, right? At some point, I'm going to have to pull back from that, but we're not in that point right now. We've had to make some changes. Just James and Coach Brown had to do a much better job of keeping me on point. It's pretty full, and I'm not going to turn them down just because it's good for all of us right now. And I've got a great staff that does a great job, and I'm in all the meetings, and I try to schedule it during my lunch break. I try to schedule it, in the evenings when I'm giving my other guys a dinner break or whatever, so I don't want to miss football. And it's what I told y'all about last time y'all asked me about this it's that balance of how much, because every time you're taking away from football, that's not good. So I'm not going to take away from football. So where's that going to come from? My workout, my lunches, my dinners, sleep. I mean, there's only so many hours in a day, and that's why we need open week to get here. We just need to get here.
Jeff, are there any freshmen or young guys who maybe aren't ready to crack the 2 deep yet, but you've seen a lot of progress from start of fall camp till now?
Tons. We hope to redshirt 20 of them. We are very intentional. We hope to redshirt some guys from our first class because the last year didn't count. So if I redshirt them this year, you're talking about having those kids 4 more years. So there's a really good chance we could redshirt 20 of this year's class and maybe 6 to 7 from the first class. And that's going to really bode well for us in 4 years, because we're going to have a really veteran, big, strong team with a bunch of degrees. We hope we're working on our masters. All got bachelors by then.
What does that do to the recruiting class? Obviously, this year is going to be kind of small, right? Does that affect those numbers?
We just don't. I haven't really looked that hard at it yet.
Yeah.
We've been intentionally very slow. I'm sure. I don't look at the rankings, we can't be very high. We haven't taken very many kids, but that's been very intentional. We were expecting to have a good season. We were expecting that this was not to this degree, maybe, but we were expecting success. So we thought we'd start getting quite a few kids that want to come play for us. That is happening. We had 106 recruits here Saturday, 104 on our facility. Now that's some stuff we got to get better at. We got to get some personnel to handle all those recruits. I mean, Joe Price does that by himself. You can imagine the work Joe put in Saturday with all those parents, getting them parked, getting them a lanyard, make sure they're taken care of, food. It's a lot of work, and it's exciting to have 106 recruits here. It's also a lot of work.
Thanks, Cole.
All right, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.